This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather. Hello there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy and bird boy for today, August the 14th. It's a former NFL quarterback who was a phenom in college ball and has been given the title by some experts as the greatest college football quarterback of all time. He helped his team win 2 BCS national championships and all of that. He was picked in the first round of the 2010 NFL draft and was helping the Broncos out. And then, for some strange reasons, he was traded to the Jets, and he did too much. He tried to make the squad of a few NFL teams. He pursued a minor league baseball career, and then after retiring from that, he tried to be a tight end in the NFL, but failed. He's been a regular contributor for college football programming since 2017, inducted to the College Football Hall of Fame in 2023. He's 37 years old today. His name, Tim Tebow. Surprised he's that old, but yeah. Tim Tebow was born in the Philippines to American parents and all that. So his parents would move to the Philippines to be Baptist missionaries and build a ministry. During the Tebow stay, Pamela actually had dysentery and fell into a coma, but she was pregnant and all that. The medication used to treat Pamela caused a placental abruption. Doctors figured that there would be a stillbirth and recommended an abortion, which was illegal in the Philippines. Tebow decided against it, and Tim was born August 14, 1987, in Manila. When he was 3, his parents moved from the Philippines back to Florida, Jacksonville. He's the youngest of 5 children. He and his siblings were all homeschooled by parents instilling the family's Christian beliefs, and Tebow ended up being dyslexic and lives in his uniqueness as a gift from God. He went to high school with Trinity Christian Academy in Jacksonville, but he could not enroll at other school. His parents chose to homeschool him. Florida law allows homeschool students to participate on the team of the local high school and the school district in which they live. And private schools are also allowed to let homeschool students play on their teams. So it became a prominence and all of that. He would become a major college football quarterback prospect by his senior year of high school, leading the Nice Panthers to a state title. Played in the U.S. Army All-American Bowl, which had the top senior high school football players in the nation play each other and be shown on NBC. There was even a documentary that it was called Tim Tebow, the Chosen One, focused on Tim's homeschooling missionary work in the Philippines and athletic exploits in the college recruiting process. His family had ties to the University of Florida, but Tebow considered other schools. Tebow was featured prominently in a feature on homeschool athletes seeking equal access to high school athletics in other states. Because a homeschooler's access to public and private school athletic functions varies by state, they wanted to extend the right to play for local teams to more states. He became the first homeschool athlete to be nominated for the Heisman. He said that's kind of cool and all that. But regardless of that, he almost accepted a scholarship from Bama, but in the long run, he decided to attend the University of Florida and play for the Gators because his parents met there. He was a backup for Florida when they won the national championship in 2006, 06-07. Was the starting quarterback in the 07 season, won the Heisman, which was shocking to a lot of people. As a sophomore, as a junior, he led the Gators to another national championship And as a senior, got them to win 13 games. So anyway, yeah, he was named backup to Chris Leak for the 06-07 season. He was a contributor and all that. He ran the ball well against Southern Miss and UCF. Against LSU, he passed for 2 touchdowns and ran for 1. And then against Ohio State in the national championship game, he threw for 1 and ran for another. He was second on the team in running in 2006. And then in his sophomore year, it looked pretty impressive. He set many records in the 07 season, such as the rushing touchdown record of 20, not just by a quarterback, but by a normal player. Against Florida State, he threw for 3 and ran for 2 touchdowns against the Seminoles, but he had fractured his right hand during the third quarter and had to wear a cast for the next 3 weeks. He was named the Heisman winner, which is the most outstanding college football player of the year, and was given the O'Brien Trophy for quarterback of the year. So, as a sophomore, it was huge. He beat Arkansas's Darren McFadden, Hawaii's Colt Brennan, and Missouri's Chase Daniel for the mark. Of course, I'm ticked off because the backup being the second place competitor was Darren McFadden, and I'm an Arkansas fan. He finished the regular season as the only player in college football history to rush and pass for 20 touchdowns in both categories in the same season. He was named the third Florida player to win the Heisman after Steve Spurrier and Danny Warfield, both quarterbacks, if you must know. In 2008, it was suggested that Urban Meyer of Florida, the coach, would make 2 quarterbacks to take the workload off Tebow's shoulders and all that. Anyway, Gators got crushed by Ole Miss and all that. And he delivered a speech to the media known as The Promise in Gator Country. In the speech, he apologized for the loss and promised that he and the team would do better. He would keep good on this promise as the Gators would not lose for the rest of the season. He ran for his 37th career touchdown, breaking Emmitt Smith's Florida record, and beat Alabama in the SEC title game. They would be the 2 seed in the BCS standings. They would face Oklahoma for the national title, and they won 24-14. Tebow would finish third in Heisman voting behind Sam Bradford and Colt McCoy, despite Tebow getting many first place votes and all that. In a shocking move, he actually decided not to make himself eligible for the 09 draft and would return for a senior season in Florida. And anyway, it was just weird and all that. So he had a mild concussion against Kentucky. And Tebow took 2 weeks to recover from that. Playing against Georgia, ironically, he would have his 51st rushing touchdown, which broke the SEC mark of former Georgia running back Herschel Walker. Unfortunately, Tebow and Florida would lose to Bama in the SEC title game and could not play for the national title. However, they crushed Cincy in the Sugar Bowl. Tebow did quite well, putting up 482 passing yards for 3 touchdowns, and graduated from Florida. So it is end of his career. He held 5 NCAA marks, 14 SEC marks, and 28 Florida marks, and all that. So yeah, he threw for 9,286 yards in college, 88 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, which was pretty impressive. And anyway, in 2010, the NCAA decided to ban messages on eye paint. This was dubbed the Tebow rule. During his college football career, Tebow would write references to biblical verses on his eye black. He scribbled John 3:16 on his eye black during the 2009 national championship game. And the first was the highest ranked Google search for the next 24 hours, 90 million searches and all that. And then he would switch to Proverbs and all that. The NCAA denies the rule was influenced by Tebow in particular, since many other notable players did write messages on eye black. Well, the intended use of eye black is to shade the eyes from the sun. The NFL banned eye black writing as well. Well, way before that. So pre-draft, it would be huge. People say Jacksonville was going to get him in the third round. So the 2010 NFL draft happened. A lot of people were looking for a quarterback. And some say that Tim Tebow would definitely be a start. But the Rams, with the first pick, took Sam Bradford from Oklahoma. He won a Heisman, so anyway, many teams would pick out of the box. Tebow would be the second quarterback taken. And in a trade with the Ravens, well, the Broncos needed a pick, so they decided to trade, get Baltimore's first round pick. So Denver gave up their second round pick, 43rd overall, third round, 70th overall, and fourth round, 114th overall. Dennis Pitta was one of those picks and worked out for the Ravens. When I look at all the wasted picks, like the Green Bay took Brian Bulaga, Houston took Kareem Jackson, Atlanta took Sean Witherspoon, Tennessee took Derek Morgan, Anthony Davis tackle to San Francisco, Jacksonville took Tyson Alolu, and his hometown team didn't pick him. So anyway, it was huge. Denver needed a quarterback and all that. He'll play when he's ready. He continued to have the top selling jersey through the 2010 season. So he signed a 5-year deal worth $11 million. He's got a touchdown. His first touchdown was a run against the Jets. His first career NFL pass attempt was a touchdown from Tebow to Spencer Larson. Tebow, of course, was the backup for the 2010 season. He started his first game December 19th, losing to the Raiders. He did run for 40 yards, which was the longest touchdown run by a quarterback in Broncos history. He did help the Broncos beat the Texans 24-23. He played sparingly as a backup and all that. And then he was the backup in 2011 for Kyle Orton. And the Broncos started 1-3, so they decided to change it up and put Tebow in. They did lose that game, so they were 1-4. Tebow would start the following game against Miami. He struggled for 3.5 quarters, but somehow in the final 3 minutes, he helped Broncos come back from 15-0 down to force overtime and win the game in overtime. Tebow would take 7 sacks the next week against the Lions. Anyway, Tebow guided the Broncos through 4 comeback games. And all that. Despite struggling against the Kansas City Chiefs on the final day of the regular season, going 6-22, the Broncos did win the AFC West, as the Raiders lost. Tebow was playing tentatively, as John Elway would say. The Broncos would host the Steelers in the wild card, despite Pittsburgh scoring 12 wins because Denver won the division. Tebow completed 10 of 21 for 316 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the creepy thing was the second touchdown was on the first play of overtime for the Broncos, as he threw an 80-yard pass to Demetrius Thomas, and the Broncos shocked the Steelers to go on to face New England in the divisional round. Media sources actually said that Tebow's passing yards and yards per completion invoked John 3:16. Tebow had 316 yards, and yards per completion was 31.6, and the Nielsen ratings also peaked at 31.6. Tebow was a Google phenomenon. But unfortunately, the Pats beat the tar out of the Broncos by 35, and he went 9 for 26. Tebow would be the Broncos starting quarterback going into training camp in 2012. He did have the lowest passing completion rate in the NFL, despite the fact that the Broncos were decent and all that. Unfortunately, he wouldn't get the chance to prove himself with the Broncos after his magical season, as the Jets would pick him up. The Broncos signed Peyton Manning after his neck problems, and Indy decided to go with Andrew Luck at quarterback. Peyton Manning's time with the Colts was up, and the Broncos picked him up, so Tebow was traded to the Jets for a fourth and sixth round pick. Shows you how much Tebow was really worth. Tebow would be used on special teams practically. And it was controversial for the Jets because Mark Sanchez was being inconsistent, and they wanted Rex Ryan to put Tebow in the game. Unfortunately, he would suffer 2 broken ribs during a home game against the Seahawks. Tebow was inactive during the Jets' subsequent game, and Greg McElroy was the quarterback. Tebow was released by the Jets, throwing only 8 passes and rushing 32 times with the Jets. That's it. The Pats signed Tebow June 10th, 2013, and for me, it was like, holy crow, Tebow could sign with the Pats, and we'll see what he does under Tom Brady's guidance and all that. He signed a 2-year deal with no guaranteed money, and they would have some incentives for 2014. And it reunited with Josh McDaniels. He played in the first 2 postseason games, but unfortunately he was sacked several times and picked off. The Pats would release him on the day they had to cut the roster down to 53. But he did publicly thank the Patriots organization for the opportunity. And then he became a broadcaster for the SEC network, but he still wanted to play in the NFL. So he signed a 1-year deal with the Eagles April 2015 and was competing with Matt Barkley for the third string job. But following the 4th preseason game, the Eagles dumped him off. And then Tim Tebow, after spending 6 years out of football to play minor league baseball, he contacted Urban Meyer, then coach of the Jaguars, about returning to the sport. So the Jaguars signed him to a 1-year contract, but would release him during the 2021 preseason. So he only spent 3 regular season years in the NFL. The 2010 season, the 2011 season, which saw him go 7-4 as a starter, helped the Broncos win the division and against the Steelers in the wild card round, and in 2012 with the Jets, going 8-6 with 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, only 2,400 yards passing, and almost 1,000 yards rushing in his career. So, of course, his media personality was huge because of his outspoken view on Christianity, and some say he was a cultural phenomenon, especially the Tebow pose and all that Tebow-ing and all that. So, anyway, he actually appeared in an ad funded by Focus on the Family, a socially conservative organization, which Tebow had a personal story of a pro-life stance because of his story that his mother contracted the condition and almost was aborted. So, anyway, Tebow would do an autobiography by May 2011 and all that. It spent 24 weeks on the bestseller list, which was good and all that. But of course, that was before his magical season. So, anyway, broadcasting, he would be part of the SEC network and ESPN as well. So, anyway, he did what he could and all that. But strangely, in 2016, he made announcements he wanted to have a career in pro baseball and had an open tryout and all that. He received contract offers with 2 minor independent teams, the Schaumburg Boomers and the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, and was actually given a chance to play in Venezuela. So anyway, September 2016, Tebow signed a minor league contract with the Mets and was in instructional league and all that. So he'd be in minor league club, and by 2017, he was at Class A advanced for state. Tebow would be put to Double A by 2018 and actually hit a home run for Binghamton. He went to the Eastern League All-Star game, and unfortunately he broke a bone in his right hand, which required surgery. So he went to AAA for the 2019 season and all that, and had 3 home runs in a 6-game stretch, which was good. Unfortunately, though, he injured his pinky fielding the ball in the outfield. So he would miss the rest of the 2019 season. So he tried his best. He got to AAA and was doing okay, but a 163 batting average didn't help him out. Too. Tebow accepted an invitation by the Philippines national team to play for a qualifier to make the 2021 World Baseball Classic. But of course, the tournament was canceled because of COVID. So anyway, just is what it is. And of course, Tebow-ing is the kneeling in prayer and all that. The act of kneeling on one knee in prayer with one head bowed and an arm resting on the one bent knee. All of that. People were Tebowing all around the world. Tebowing was a feature in Madden 13. I don't remember back in there. He actually was engaged to Miss Universe 2017, Demi Lee Nell Peters, which was amazing and all of that. He's a staunch pro-life activist, fair enough, because of his mother's decision to carry him, even though he could have been a stillborn. Tebow was inducted to the College Football Hall of Fame for 2023, known for his outspoken Christian faith and all that. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't go overboard. Liberty University would actually award an honorary doctorate to Tebow because of his religious beliefs in humanitarian work. But anyway, Tim Tebow was a star, and I wish I could Tebow, but I'm doing this off camera. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.